Okay, so a lot of people have been asking me to give them a tutorial on how to make the chili that I make for everybody up here in Taiwan. And so I'm gonna do that for you now. First, you'll have to know what ingredients. We're looking at about a pound of chicken, and I've already cut up some peppers and some onion and put them with olive oil in my pot. With the chicken, the onions, and the peppers, you're also going to need a small can of tomato sauce, a can of diced peeled tomatoes. You can get these at PX if you want. 2 cans of kidney beans. I get these at Carrefour. Easy to find there. Some jalapeno slices. I like using the fresh, but they don't have them here, so we gotta use the canned ones, the jarred ones, which are still good. Some sweet and spicy barbecue sauce. You can use any barbecue sauce. I just use this because I like it's a little sweeter. And you're gonna need some chili seasoning. This is not chili powder, it's chili seasoning. Chili powder won't work. It has to have all the ingredients in this. You can get this online, buy it online. I buy 2 at a time. So, first thing we do is, as you saw, I cut up the chicken, I cut up the onions, I cut up the peppers, and now we're going to start seasoning the chicken. A little bit of chicken in the pot, and then we add the chili. And I'm pretty generous with the seasoning. Don't be afraid to use a lot of seasoning. Then we put a little more chicken in, a little more seasoning. Don't be afraid to use it. Once I get the seasoning in with the chicken, I stir it all together. It almost turns into like a paste. Stir it around. Make sure that the chicken is coated really, really well while you're doing this. Like I said, don't be afraid to use a lot of seasoning on this. You don't want to have any powder left on the bottom. You want it all to marinate in the chicken. You can see it's starting to really cover the chicken very, very well. Now the chicken is marinating. We're just going to leave that there, and now we're going to start frying the peppers and the onions in the big pot. So let's go to the stove. So I have the peppers and the onions on the stove, and we're going to turn the stove to about medium high. We really want to get it a little higher than medium high. And let that cook until the vegetables are soaking in their own juices. And then we'll reduce the heat and we'll put the chicken on. Okay, so this has been cooking for about 10 minutes. I've been stirring in between. Now you can see the consistency. The onions are somewhat translucent, the peppers are getting soft. Now we will reduce the heat and add the chicken quite a bit. Reduce the heat, and then we're going to add the chicken. This is the chicken that we had marinated, turned into a paste. We're going to just put that right in the pot. What I'm doing here, I'm just going to leave the chicken on top of the vegetables. I don't want to stir it too much yet. All I really want to do is separate the chicken so it has a chance to cook evenly. And we're going to leave this on top of the vegetables. Sort of like that. just a single layer of chicken sitting on top of the vegetables. And we are also going to add more chili. Like I said, don't be afraid to use the chili. So we're just gonna let that slow cook for about 15 minutes until the chicken is cooked most of the way through, not all the way. You don't want to cook it too fast because then the chicken will get tough and it won't be fun to eat. So you want to cook it slow so the chicken stays tender. You want to cover it and wait about 10 or 12 minutes and come back to it. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes and we're going to check to see how this chicken is doing now. You can see it's about half cooked, which is where we want it. So this is a good time to throw the rest of our ingredients in. The smell is so good. Now, we don't want to mix the chicken yet because it's still cooking and the juices are draining on the vegetables and the vegetables are steaming the chicken. So we want that. So we don't want to mix it. As much as you think you should, you don't want to. You want it to simmer in its own juices. Now we're going to add the crushed tomatoes, we're going to add the chopped tomatoes and the tomato sauce. The tomato sauce. Now, we're going to let that simmer for about another 5 minutes. Low heat. Remember, don't stir this. Covering and cooking. 5 more minutes. So it's about 6 minutes later. We've got a very light boil, and now it's time to put in the final ingredients. First thing we're going to do is put in a little bit of the barbecue sauce. We don't want too much of this because we don't want it to take over the flavor. We just want it to add to the flavor. So I'm only going to put in about 1/4 cup. That's about all I'll need. Now we can finally stir it. Now, it seems saucy now, but when it cooks and we start putting the beans in, the beans are gonna thicken this up quite a bit. You can see the chicken now is perfect. The chicken is juicy and tender. Smells so good. So now it's time to put in the beans. We're ready to add the beans, but make sure you strain them first. I strain them thoroughly. We're going to do 2 cans. Now we're going to mix this. You can see it's getting thicker as it cooks. We're going to add the jalapeno slices. Depending on how hot you want it, will determine how many you put in. I usually put in probably 12 or 15 of these for a regular mild chili. Now we're gonna take, like I said, about a dozen of these. Try not to get the juice. Just try to get just the peppers. Now sometimes I also put corn in here, but I think I'll do it without the corn this time. So let's give it a test. You can see all our ingredients are in there. It's a damn fine chili right there. Anyways, if you have any questions, just call me. But it's pretty simple to make. It takes about 40-45 minutes once you get everything prepared. This I'm gonna just transfer to a crock pot. I'm gonna leave it out all day in the crock pot. Just keep it warm. It won't hurt anything. Although, I gotta try this chicken. Literally melts in your mouth. So, thanks for sticking around. See you next time when we make stir fry and Cajun pork.